Good day, everybody. Welcome to another Canvas Live session. Canvas Live sessions are presented by Canvas community members and/or instructor employees to help Canvas users improve and enhance their teaching and learning with Canvas. And I am thrilled to have Laura Gibbs with us today to share some incredibly awesome stuff with us. So Laura, I will get out of your way and have you take over.
Okay, thank you so much. Let's see, we can go ahead and start the slides here. I'm going to be talking about Canvas-friendly JavaScripts. And don't let the technical JavaScripts there scare you. I'm not a programmer. I don't know how to program, but I love JavaScripts. And so I'm going to do a presentation here today to walk you through how I make JavaScripts, how I use them, and also to introduce you to JavaScripts that I have you can take and use. And then we'll see how that all fits together. This is part of a series I've been doing called Connected Learning with Cats. And you're going to hear some themes in what I talk about today that echo with the earlier presentations. And if you have questions or anything that comes to mind during the presentation, you can use the chat there at YouTube, or you can look at the events page at the Canvas community. There's a link there on the events page to the live slideshow here, the slide deck that I'm going to be using. And I would really urge everybody to open up that slide deck and take a look at it while I'm presenting so that you can use the links to click and go and actually see these dynamic content tools, these JavaScript widgets in action, because what you see there in the YouTube is going to be static, obviously just the slides that I've prepared. But kind of the whole point here is that I've created a lot of different Canvas pages that have dynamic content on them. It's going to be different content that shows up based on the day or just at random. And in order to experience that, you can use the links in the actual slide deck to click and go and see what comes up. So the theme for today's presentation is what I call content serendipity, as opposed to content mastery. And by content serendipity, what I mean is the way that you can use things like chance encounters, randomness, to connect students to content that they really care about. For the kinds of classes that I teach, which are Gen Ed humanities classes, that sense of connection and for students to find something that's meaningful to them personally is really important. It's actually more important than coverage or mastery. And so I use a lot of these tools, like these widgets, JavaScript widgets, in order to bring a lot of content up, to bring it up with new content every day, or to bring up new content at random so that I can share lots of content with the students, and then hopefully they will connect with something. They'll see an image, they'll see a resource, and they'll want to click and find out more. So that's kind of the pedagogical principle here, is serendipity, chance encounters, how I can put as much content as possible in front of the students as they pass through my courses so that they can see what's out there and hopefully connect and explore. So the tool I'm going to be talking about lets you create date-based content. So new content every day, blank of the day, blank of the week, blank of the month kind of content. But it also does random content. And that's what I really focus on myself, is randomizers. So you get random content that's new every time the page loads. That's something that's fun. It's something that's unpredictable. And like I said, it helps to surface that content. You know, if you have dozens or hundreds of things, whatever they are, websites, images, stuff you want to share with your students, you need a way to do that that's not just scrolling down through a list, right? So the randomizer surfaces that content again and again and again. Every time they reload the page, something new, and eventually they cycle through a whole lot of content that way, thanks to the power of random. Now, the first time I built one of these randomizers was a long time ago, way back in 2002, when I first started building my online courses. And I'm willing to share one of my ancient websites. You can actually click on that link on the slide and you can see what my courses looked like in 2002. And back then the students had a choice each week of what to read. They could read in the Ancient Near East week, I teach mythology, they could read Egypt, Egyptian legends, or they could read Gilgamesh. And so I built a little, I hand-coded it myself, a teeny tiny little JavaScript that gave them a 50-50 chance. And I called it, Let the Fates Decide. And they could click on a little link there that said, Let the Fates Decide. And then this little system message would pop up that said, the fates say Egypt, or the fates say Gilgamesh. And I really did this more just as kind of a joke, because it was fun. It was easy. I was just playing around with the internet in 2002. But the students loved it. And they would sometimes write in their blog posts, the fates told me 4 times in a row to choose Egypt or Ovid or Alice in Wonderland, whatever it was. And that's when I realized that this randomness, that the unpredictability, that the fun factor of these JavaScripts was pretty great. But I'm not a programmer, and I knew I wasn't going to learn JavaScript in order to write anything elaborate. And so I hired one of my students at the time, this absolute genius guy named Randy Hoyt. He might even be listening to this presentation, which would be great. Now he's a game developer and a web designer. Back then he was a student at the University of Oklahoma. And he built this amazing tool called rotatecontent.com. It's free to use. He still hosts it at his site for anybody to use. And that's what I use to create my JavaScripts. The way it works is it spits out an HTML table. You fill in the table with your stuff, and it makes the script for you. So I'll have more to say about that later. Now, about JavaScripts and Canvas. You may think that you can't use JavaScripts and Canvas because if you just paste in a script or a script call into a Canvas page, the HTML editor will in fact strip it out. But you can use an iframe to get around that. I'm not going to get into all the nitty-gritty about that. James Jones of the community taught me so much about how JavaScripts and iframes are really different and why iframes are safe, JavaScripts are not. And so it's perfectly fine to plunk an iframe, just a little code snippet, it's nothing complicated, into a Canvas page, a discussion board, the syllabus, pretty much anywhere you can put content in Canvas, you can put these iframes, and you can then put the JavaScript in a page that's called by that iframe. I'll talk about that in a minute. But there's an example of one of my randomizing scripts. That's one of my random growth mindset cats. Every time the page reloads, you get a new cat, and there's a couple hundred cats. So it really, you'll get a lot of new cats. You can bang on that reload as often as you want. New cats will keep coming up. As I mentioned also, I've taken a lot of the widgets that I make, and I put them in something I call a widget warehouse. It's an open Canvas course where you can just copy and paste my widgets and use them for yourself. You don't have to do anything other than copy and paste. And so I'll talk some more about that later also. So as you can see, there's going to be 3 different things I want to do here in the presentation. I'm going to talk about the kinds of JavaScripts that you can make with Rotate Content. Then I'll walk you through some examples in that widget warehouse. And then finally, I'll very quickly go through how you can create your own JavaScripts with Rotate Content. So like I said, Randy Hoyt, former student, built this amazing thing. It's online, rotatecontent.com. And it has detailed instructions and tutorials for how all of this works. And I have to say, Randy really is a genius because he built this tool over 10 years ago, and it is still going strong. I make new scripts every semester, use this tool probably every week as I tinker with my scripts and update them. And he did a really, really excellent job. So Rotate Content spits out this HTML table that you fill in with your stuff. And you can put any stuff that you want into that table. So you can put text in there. You can put images in there. You can put embedded video in there. So I have some randomizers that pop up actual playable YouTube videos. And you can put other JavaScripts in there. And that's where it gets really cool because you've got like this randomizer of scripts. So the potential there is tremendous in terms of the content. Now, the content that you put in the table can then be manipulated, displayed in different ways. It can be date-based or it can be totally random. So with the date-based content, the HTML table has the dates in a column on the left and you fill in your stuff on the right. And Randy built it so that you can create either a perpetual date-based widget so that every May 4th, the same thing will come up. My Latin lolcat of the day is a perpetual calendar like that. So I really, honest to goodness, do have 366 of these cats. And so that means even for the leap year, there's a new cat every day. So it's not a new cat every time you reload the page, but it is a new cat every day. You can also make specific date-based content. So I have a semester countdown script that I tinker with every semester because I change the dates for the actual last days of this semester. And the screenshot there shows how that semester countdown JavaScript displays inside a Canvas course syllabus page. Now, you can tell I took that screenshot on Saturday. Today is not Saturday, but if you were to go to my course today, it would say, today is Thursday, the class is over tomorrow, you need to finish quickly. And that's all automatic behind the scenes. You load the script, and it just responds to the actual date. Like I said, though, my favorites are the random ones. This is a screenshot of my random book library. I have about 1,000 books in this book library, so it is seriously random. And that's because there are all these great books I want my students to be exposed to. And so the random script keeps popping them up, and you just never know when they'll find a book they want to click through and learn more about and read online. Those are all full online text free books, mostly at like Project Gutenberg, HathiTrust, places like that. Then one last totally nifty thing that Randy did with the rotate content is that he realized that if you create a table that's got all this content in it with dates associated every day, every week, every month, whatever it is, well, you could still randomize that content. So you can actually take a script that you've created at rotatecontent.com that you have made as a date-based script and randomize it if you want. And so I've got a screenshot there that shows side by side a Canvas page, and you can click through and go to the page and see how it works yourself, where I built a script that has a Latin proverb of the day with Elizabethan commentary. It's a really cool script. And you can get a proverb of the day, or you can have that randomized. And all you have to do is add a little script prefix, a little variable into your script that will change the way the content displays. It's really elegant. So that's Randy's tool. And with Randy's tool, I built lots of scripts. I've probably built hundreds of scripts over the past 10 years. And some of these could be useful to other people. So I created this widget warehouse over the winter break where I put all the scripts that I use that I thought could be useful to others into a format where you can just go in there. It's all open and public, and you can find my script and my iframe, copy and paste it, or you can just go browse my content, the actual content tables, and take any content that's useful to you. And so kinds of stuff that you'll find there. I like motivators. I use lots of motivators with my students, especially about writing, reading, time management, growth mindset. And so I have random motivators. Humor for me really works, especially since I'm asking my students to learn the rules of English punctuation, for example. So I've got humor widgets in there with cartoons and memes and stuff like that. Like I said, resources, online books, websites, videos. I've got lots of resources like that that I've put into widgets. I love working with images, and so I have a collection of art images from my India class. The art of India is just amazing, and so I have a random art images widget. And as you may have noticed, each of the items in my widgets goes somewhere else. There's always a link. There's always a way to go find out, what is this image? Where did it come from? What does it mean? How can I learn more? Because that's the goal, is for people to be, mesmerized and say, what's going on in that image? And I happen to know that's Jatayu and Ravana, and he's kidnapping Sita. And if you click on that link, you will go find out all about Ravana and Jatayu and Sita. I also have a randomizing widget for my students' work. That's not a widget that anybody else would necessarily want to use, but I put it in the warehouse there to hopefully inspire people to think about your students' work this way, something that can live on, something that you can collect in huge heaps as you have students from semester to semester, and share that content back out with the current semester's students. So I have my students' projects in a widget, I have their thoughts about growth mindset in a widget, I have their tips on time management in a widget, their ideas about feedback, and it's a way I can cycle their voices back on through the course by sharing that past content randomly through these widgets. Okay, so that was the quick overview of the widgets I've made, want to share with you. If you are scared of visible text stuff, you can quit the presentation now, because for the next 4 minutes, I'm going to talk about how you make these scripts. I'm going to do this really quickly, but obviously I'm available to answer any questions anytime that people have about this tool. So when you create your own scripts, you need to feel comfortable with HTML, and that can be an HTML editor. You don't have to hand code things, but you do have to feel okay about HTML and understand what you're doing when you use an HTML editor. And you also need to have your own HTTPS web space. Now, my school has this fabulous thing called Domain of One's Own, where faculty can get their own HTTPS web space. Students can too. It's fantastic. It's run by Reclaim Hosting. Reclaim Hosting, Jim Groom and his crew, they are fabulous. They offer web hosting that is geared towards academics. So even if your school doesn't have an arrangement like this, you can get an individual account with Reclaim Hosting and the best customer service on the planet. So I highly recommend them as an HTTPS environment that you can use to build your scripts. To create these scripts, it's a 6-step process. Once you get used to it, it goes really quickly, but the first time you do it, don't freak out if it just seems kind of weird, because it is kind of weird. But what you do is you go to rotatecontent.com and it'll generate the HTML table that you're going to fill in. It's a very simple table. It's a very vanilla process, but what it does is fills in all the dates for you if you're going to do date-based content. And I've got a screenshot there. You just click the little radio buttons to tell it what kind of content you're going to be building. Spits out this very generic table. You see it there. It's a .html file that you can open in any HTML editor and then just fill in the stuff in the cells there. Now, I like to hand code, so I actually usually just do mine in a spreadsheet. Anyone who hand codes, who wants tips from me about doing a spreadsheet, just ask me. It's really easy to do this in a Google Sheet as well if you don't want to mess with an HTML editor. You then take the table that has all your content in it, you go back to rotatecontent.com, you tell it if you want JavaScript or PHP. Randy wrote this thing in PHP, and so he set it up that you can get a PHP script if you want. And so that's great. If you want a PHP script, I don't know how to do that, but you can get that. I always just do a JavaScript. It spits the JavaScript out for you. It's just a JS file, text file, very vanilla. And then you have to then publish that to your own web space. Randy doesn't host scripts for you. And then here's the weird Canvas part. You then have to create a vanilla HTML page that you put the script in. And that's it. That's the whole page right there in the screenshot. And you publish that. And then you use the iframe to shove all that into Canvas. And once again, that looks way worse than it is because you're basically just filling in the blank with the name of your page there. So that text stuff may have been a little scary. I apologize. It's really not that scary. And so what we did here in this presentation was to talk about the different things you can do with Rotate Content, the different kinds of scripts. I talked about my ready-to-use widget warehouse, and then quickly how to create your own scripts. And what I would urge everybody to do is explore the widget warehouse, see what I've done with this tool and how it could be useful to you, either those scripts, that content, anything at all. Ask me questions. I'm easy to find online at Twitter. I blog at the Canvas community, and I just barely made it. So that's 3:20. I'll turn it back over. Are you there, B-Ray? Yes. We're done.
Thank you so much, Laura. We will put the recording on the event page, and of course you can always visit Laura's profile as well and reach out to her there. We just wanted to also remind you to follow the Canvas Live space for any upcoming events. And I think Laura has about 3 more of these great presentations, these short presentations to inspire you during your lunch hour. You feel free to join the Canvas Live user group. That's where we brainstorm some ideas and upcoming events. And of course, hang out in the Canvas chat rooms where you can connect in real time with other Canvas users. Laura, it's always a pleasure to have you at Canvas Live and doing a session. We love having you here and learning from you and being inspired.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Have a great day, everybody.